Hi, my name is Jacob Colbert, and I'm going to give a book review on a novella by Antiguan author Jamaica Kincaid called A Small Place. A Small Place is written in 1988 by Kincaid, and the book examines the impact of British colonialism in the post-colonial era in Antigua. Um, Britain colonized Antigua from the 17th century until 1981. Kincaid offers a unique perspective as a local who was born there in 1949. Throughout the novel, she speaks in a primary source because she uses her own personal narrative um, and uses her own personal examples to create an honest dialogue with the reader. While sometimes she has been criticized for having bias and even having hostility at times towards the British because of the harm they did to her, I don't believe it takes away from the book's meaning or central arguments. She frequently argues that colonization has made Antigua unreal, forcing it to be something it is not. For example, Kincaid frequently highlights how the nation builds up the tourist industry, tourist attractions, and foreign business enterprises while disregarding local needs and basic facilities that are meant for the welfare and well-being of its own people. For example, the Mill Reef Club was during the colonial times was a predominantly white resort, but the only blacks that were allowed were the black Antiguans were the servants. And Kincaid addresses that although they lived on the island, they were shunned by these outsiders. So she constantly brings up like, what is it? How is it their right to do this to the locals? And they were serving them, so represented servitude. And Kincaid, and they even take note of the first day when the first Antiguan was able to use the golf course. Kincaid also goes on to talk about how, while Antigua is no longer under colonial rule, it's still dependent upon the foreign tourist industry very much for economic reasons. She brings up how tourism, the industry, trumps the local needs. Especially, you can see this through the transportation of Antigua. For example, the taxis are brand new, and the airport is second to none, and the cruise port is very nice as well. While certain basic facilities that you would think would be great, just because you need it for the people to be healthy and safe, like for example, the hospital is dilapidated. For example, the governor of Antigua does not even use Antigua's hospital because the previous one died there. And also the library is another thing that is lacking. The library was damaged in an earthquake in 1974, and since then has been in disrepair. And this reflects how the people are, the government is not giving funds for education and just disregarding people's needs. Kincaid even mentions how more young people seem uneducated than before, and this is too bad because during colonial eras, at least she was able to use the library. So maybe things aren't much better at all. And I think that's part of what Kincaid is trying to tell us, that part of the effects of British colonization have made it even worse than it was before, and they're effects that she doesn't even know if they will overcome. So like the library being in a perpetual state of disrepair, she's not sure if Antigua will be able to overcome the British colonization and the damage it dealt for a few hundred years. Overall, I loved the novel. I thought Kincaid had beautiful diction and the symbolism was magnificent, and I believe it provides valuable insight into the tourist industry and foreign enterprises. The book is valuable also because it reflects theoretical frameworks that we talked about in class. For example, it talks about John Urie's tourist gaze, and now as tourists, we only see the airport or the car. We don't see the hospital. So we're not able to sympathize with the locals who live there. We just see the beach that we want to go to and lay down in the sun. I believe that this is a very valuable book for anyone who wants to study further about impacts of tourism and also in indigenous communities, and how these indigenous communities are shifting their culture just to cater for the tourist. And this is too bad because they're losing their own identity. And that's part of the message Kincaid is telling us, She's telling these places not to lose their identity for the sake of economic reasons or anything in that matter. Thank you.